Hi, everybody. It is Friday morning, and this is SallyTalk. Thanks so much for tuning in. I am excited today because I have a guest. Woohoo! And this is kind of what I wanted to do initially, was that I wanted to interview people. So I got a lot of my stuff that I needed to talk about out of the way, and so now I'm ready to interview people. So before I introduce my guest, one of my friends mentioned to me that normally podcasts that monetize have a ad at the beginning to thank their sponsor. And she was kidding me saying that, Arbonne is your sponsor. So why don't you do a little Arbonne promo at the beginning of your podcast? And I went, that's true. It pays for everything, and it pays for my podcast. So I'm going to do that really quick. So bear with me. Just pretend I'm selling life insurance or something like that. But I'm going to talk about the actual sponsor of my podcast. So for 39 years, Arbonne International has cared about you, cared about your skin, cared about what you put inside your body. They cared about you and made sure that they didn't include 2,000 ingredients that are common on the market in the marketplace today. So they're not removing them now because they know that it would be a better thing for you and you might buy their stuff. It's actually, they looked out for you from the beginning. So if you want to know more, I am an independent consultant with Arbonne International, and you can check out my website at sallyholiday.arbonne.com. That's sallyholiday.arbonne.com. And back to the show. So anyway, that was kind of fun. So I'm excited to announce my very dear friend and also very talented photographer, Liz Barlak. Welcome to SallyTalk.
Hi, Sally. Good to be here.
You're here? I'm here. So excited. So anyway, we've known each other a long time, and we did meet through Arbonne, but Liz has, in the last, it's how many years has it been now? It's 5 or 6 years you've been a photographer?
I was a photographer. I picked up a camera in May of 2012.
Wow. So okay, wow. So years. that's a long time. That's so cool. Yeah. So you really found it, like you found your voice when you started. Yeah, there was no question.
I did.
So before we start talking about all of that stuff, I'm going to hit you with this at the beginning because I want to talk a little bit about women and empowerment. We want to go into that too because we talk a lot about that when we hike.
Yes, we do.
We can't bring a microphone with us on the hikes.
I know.
So what I wanted to ask you was that you're always put together. You're always so put together. Don't make a face. You're always so put together. And I'm with you when people say, oh my gosh, Liz, you look so great. You're always so put together. Have you always been like that? Have you always kind of had kind of a look that you were, I don't know, ever since you were a kid, you always wanted to have a look and put together?
It's so hard to answer that because it's like saying, have you always been so fabulous? But yes, I've heard you are so put together since I was in high school. I heard it the first time in high school, and I was stunned. What does that mean? Aren't you? Aren't we all put together? And then I started hearing it all my life, and so then I kind of dawned on me that not everybody is. And I'm stumped by it.
It's definitely, I think, falls into the category of self-care, obviously.
Yes.
And I think that I always feel like there's kind of a difference between self-care for other people and self-care for yourself. You take care of yourself because you want to look good for other people, or do you want to just take care of yourself? Yeah. So it was definitely a decision that you make to kind of when you get up in the morning, you decide to put yourself together.
I mean, look, 2 days ago I went to Ralph's and I wore no makeup and I was not put together. So I'm not.
Is that really true? Are you sure?
I
don't believe you.
Yes, I don't want to be a slave.
Nobody listening to right now is believing it. Yeah,
I know. And I ran into 3 people that I know, and I remember thinking to myself, "All right, that's the last time I'm doing that," because I don't like to. Well, it's not that I think that people don't think that I'm always look like this or whatever, but I always think, why wouldn't I want to look the best that I can when I go to the bank and when I go to Ralph's? And it's to me, it's like brushing your teeth. It's why would you not want to look your best? I don't understand why. And there's no judgment on anybody's looks. It's just do the best that you can. And it usually is so much better. It is.
Well, I told you that my New Year's resolution was that I was going to make up my bed every morning. And it goes back to my I shouldn't call her old roommate, because now that we're older, I don't think that sounds good. So my former roommate, Betsy, she listens. So hi, Betsy. But she used to make up her bed every morning, and we would go to work. And I remember saying to her at one point, because I never made my bed up, because why? Because nobody was coming over, right? And that really was kind of like my thought process. And so she said, well, I always make my bed up because when I come home, it looks really nice. When I come home, it makes me feel better. I do it for me. And I went, yeah, that's funny. So now I'm like, 55? And all of a sudden I went, I think I'm going to make up my bed. Yay. And now it's April, and I made my bed up every morning since the beginning. And it really does make a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference. And I feel a sense of responsibility, and it's crazy when I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you, but I feel like I have a sense of responsibility to people that I see out in the world. Because if you think about it, if every single person, you go to the grocery store, if you saw every person was just kind of bleh looking, it affects you. It just does affect you. So there's a kind of part of me that has this sense of responsibility that, like, when I travel, I really don't want to look like a schlep. And we've all seen them on the airplanes, and we don't want to sit next to them. And we just kind of think, you just couldn't put your hair up today. You just couldn't. Nope, not going to do it. And I just feel like there's a sense of responsibility that we have to each other that I'm sure that plays into it in some way.
That's interesting because that means, right, because you would dress up if it was somebody who is important to you. Mm-hmm. So you're basically saying
nobody's important.
That those people on the plane aren't important to me.
Right.
No, nobody here is important to me.
Right.
That's kind of an interesting thought. I never really thought of it that way.
We affect each other with what we say, how we dress, our mood, our energy. It all affects each of us. And so I do tend to feel there's a sense of responsibility that I have, that I, want to show up the best that I can. I mean, I don't get killer dressed up, but I do put my makeup on.
Right. Well, and then also too, like glasses. We both wear glasses. Mm-hmm. There's like, I was really, I used to always pick the cheapest frames when I used to go before, because I'd wear contacts, but then I'd pick out the cheapest frames because I'm always on a budget, kids and single mom. And I always had that going in my head. Right. And then this last time I was thinking of you. I went and I was like, I'm going to pick a pair of glasses that are like a piece of jewelry to me and that I wear and I like, and I feel like it says something about myself. And I think those decisions are important too. Like that you're making a decision of what you're going to wear every day or whatever. Yep.
I always look and I do a little quick check before I leave the house. And my husband and he knows I have this saying that my clothes, what I'm wearing, I want it to hum. And that just means I want it to fit how I want to be that day. I want it to all be right. And sometimes it's not always, and I have to leave, and too bad. And everyone will say, oh, you look fine. But it makes me feel better when it just kind of is how I want to present myself that day. And I hum.
I love that.
Let's forget that part.
No, I think that's cool. But the thing is that I always look at, when you look what the reinforcement is, and you obviously get a positive reinforcement by putting yourself together.
I do.
Because people always say, oh my gosh, you look so put together. I do. Oh my gosh, Liz, you look so great. So no, but I'm not like, it's not like getting past the whole, because we always tend to, then we want to go, oh, stop.
Yes.
But the truth is that there's a societal response to somebody who is put together.
Yes.
They like it. It makes it like, wow, she looks great.
Sometimes I worry a little, or I feel I don't want to intimidate because I'm always put together. Mm-hmm. So I really try sometimes personality-wise to compensate for that. I'll be super friendly because I don't want them to think, oh,
Right. Well, which gets into the little voice, right?
Here we go.
Right. No, I mean, that someone's like, oh, got to balance this out.
Yes.
Can't
be too awesome. Because
that's just not okay. So what are we going to do to cut that down?
That's just not okay. I can only be so awesome. There's a limit to my awesomeness. Please do not go above the limit today. And if you find yourself going over above, then kind of back off.
Yeah, cut that
apologize.
down. Cut that down, man. That's that Marianne Williamson, right? We're afraid we're powerful beyond belief or whatever. Yeah. It's really kind of true. It is. It's kind of true that you got to balance that out. Heaven forbid you're too great.
It's so true. Well, here we go. Let's talk about that voice, shall we?
Yeah, I know. So that's so funny because I do have a few questions because I wanted to be prepared. Yeah. And my next question is right on that. Right. I've noticed that over the being over 55, my the little voice got louder. Either that or I'm really isolated it and I know what it is maybe, and then I hear it.
I think we pay more attention.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But every morning before I started the first day I launched this podcast, every morning I woke up with, okay, who are you and why do you think you have anything to say to anybody?
Why does she want to interview me? Why? Can we do this later? I mean, what can I possibly say? But I get over it.
Yeah. And so it really is. So what do you do? What do you do to kind of do you see, you hear what it is and then you just kind of talk yourself down?
To recognize it, and I just kind of laugh at it sometimes. It still plays in my head. You're checking your email. You think people are going to email you. I mean, really, there's a voice that says, who's emailing you? Really? And I just kind of laugh and I go, there you are again. That's so funny. You and I went on a hike once a year or two ago, and I told you that I had started finding rocks that were in the shape of a heart.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I was collecting them. Mm-hmm. And I just said, wow, this is so cool. And look at them. And there's this one and there's that one. And I have this shoebox now full of heart rocks. And I was telling you this. And but then I got to thinking, what the hell? Why do I need these stupid little heart rocks? I mean, what am I going to do with these heart rocks? This is stupid. And you said, well, why did you have to invite her into the conversation? It's so true. Why did I have... there's some law. You cannot collect heart rocks.
Right.
At your age.
Yeah. What are
you going to do with these? How stupid.
When they're heavy.
They're
and
heavy.
They're in the box.
What are you going to do with them? How stupid. As opposed to, I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but they're telling me to come. I'm supposed to pick them up. And I don't know why. And that's okay.
And it's interesting, once you made the decision that you're going to be found a box full. Right? I mean, so that's kind of reinforcement that was something maybe that you were supposed to do.
I don't know what, and I haven't gotten rid of them, and that's okay. Who cares? But that little voice in my head cares. So what do? I hear it more.
Right.
I hear it more often, and I've really, this is the year. I want this year to be the year that I work on or let it go more so that by the end of this year, I'm more enlightened. Mm-hmm. Damn it. That's really, really where I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be, because I wonder who the heck is in here that's being stifled so much. Who am I supposed to be? Wouldn't that be cool to find out?
Yeah. Well, it's funny thinking about the podcast and I can talk about this because it's, it's in the news. So the whole thing with the Lori Loughlin, and she paid her kid to go to USC, and her daughter is an influencer, and she's on YouTube, and she has all of these YouTube videos and everything. I went and watched a few of them, and there's one YouTube video where she literally gets up and she makes a Jimmy Dean sausage egg sandwich, and you watch her microwave it. And I'm thinking, this delightful young lady feels that this is content for me to watch her heat up her sandwich. Right. And I thought, and I'm beating myself up because I have things that I'd like to share. And I'm thinking, what do you have to share? And I'm thinking, I think I have a little bit more to share than heating up my sandwich. I'm not going to show you what I'm having for breakfast.
Right. Absolutely.
So, yeah. I think, it's really, really true. And I think that it's very powerful, though, to start making that shift. And when what's nice is when you're older, you have kind of things to back up your decisions. Whereas when you're younger, you tend to allow that voice to the point where you don't even know it's there. You just, you think it's a real thing.
Right.
You think it's society talking to you or life talking to you and telling you to stop.
Right.
Whereas when we get our age, we kind of know
the difference.
It's us. It's us. Like this weird, the weird voice. Yeah.
And I can say no No, that's not necessarily true. Oh, you're that voice again. I gotcha. Have a nice day. Leave me alone. Because everybody tells me, and I'm going to believe them, that I don't have to listen to you.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I don't think it ever goes away, though. I think that's one of the things that when you're older, you realize that it's really not going to go away. And if you if you think it's going to go away,
probably not.
You're going to be mistaken. You're going to be surprised because it'll sneak in when you least expect it.
It's probably not, but it can be softened and muted and not paid attention to so much, and certainly not given the reins to my life.
Right.
Which is
that's what I was going to talk to you about, because you have a great blog, and you've been really posting some great blog posts, and the one that got a lot of attention was the one that I think it was kind of like your breakout blog post, with the trip to Vegas.
Yeah.
So tell the Vegas story.
I was previously blogging about my sessions, which I like to do that as well, but I had this trip to Vegas, and I wanted to share with anybody, and maybe help them connect, maybe because they've been this way too, but I am
sorry, that's my dog. We're outside because I'm not like in my room with the door shut, so there might be a woof. So
yes,
sorry.
It was.
This is live radio or live podcasting.
Okay, so I went to Vegas to spend the day, to go to a photography convention. I wanted to go to the trade show because I wanted to see all the products that I may want to start incorporating into my photography business. And most of that stuff you need to see in person. And so I wanted to touch it and feel it and look at it and compare it. And you can only do that at a lot of these trade shows a couple of times a year. So I found out that one was coming up in Vegas, and from Burbank to Vegas is nothing. I can fly there. So I got a ticket and went by myself and just felt so awesome doing it all, and got to the hotel and registered and went, had my little lanyard, and now I'm a photographer, and I was walking around feeling all really cool. And then I found out that the trade show was the next day. You gotta laugh. I wish I would have taken.
I bet you looked good.
Damn. I look put together.
You look put together.
I look put together. And, I wish I would have taken the approach of, I am so cute. And just look at me. Oh, I'm so cute, but I got the date wrong. Oh, I wish I would have had more compassion. That's what it all comes back to. That's what I learned as a result of this. But no, I didn't go that route. I didn't go the compassionate route. I literally, I don't remember thinking bad things. I just remember feeling bad things about me. Just like, I'll never be one of the cool photographers that show up on time, or the cool photographers that are in the trade show the next day. I won't be one of those. And then it just spirals into worse and worse stuff about who I am as a person and who I am as a photographer. And I know it all sounds ludicrous as I sit here now, but, I'm walking around the floor of the hotel, and I'm just enveloped in this thought process of just awfulness. And then I went over to the video poker table, and I said, well, damn it, I'm going to play $20, because I love to play, and I played video poker, and I won $75. I was like, oh, thank God. And I stopped while I still had $61 left, I stopped and said, yay. And then I walked around some more, and I checked with a couple of people. Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe I didn't hear them right. Maybe it starts at like 1 o'clock. I bet that's it. I bet I heard it wrong. And I asked another couple of girls walking around, and I, even when they told me the answer, I didn't even let on with them. And I said, okay, cool, tomorrow, thanks. I wouldn't, God forbid they see that I didn't get the day. I don't know.
I'll go back to my hotel room.
Yeah.
I sit by the pool and come by tomorrow.
Yeah, that'll be perfect. Perfect timing. Great. See you guys. Bye. No, I put my purse on my shoulder, and I got a taxi and went back to the airport and came home. And many people have asked me, why didn't you spend the night? Well, I didn't have my face cleanser. I didn't have any makeup. I didn't have anything. I had my purse. I just really didn't fathom showing up the next day like I do, without makeup on, or
right.
How does that work? I just didn't want to do that. And I didn't want to get a hotel room and all of that. So no, I came home and I was feeling pretty crappy, and was feeling pretty crappy for a couple of days. And I kept saying to myself, it's not that bad. You know, I was trying to really talk myself through it. And then I reached out to a coach that I'm working with, and she really helped me by giving me a couple of things to do. And this is what I did, okay? I wrote down the dialogue, the really crappy, awful dialogue, everything that I was telling myself. And then I wrote down some of the other alternatives that I could have done at the hotel that day, so that I could kind of prove to myself that it really didn't mean what I thought it meant. It didn't mean that I'm this awful person. It just meant that I made a mistake and I chose an alternative to go home and feel sad, as opposed to I made a mistake and I could have done other things instead. Mm-hmm. And then, this is the most important part of what I did. I wrote it all down, and then right in front of a mirror, I challenged myself on every one of the statements. I read the statement out loud, and I looked in the mirror and I said, really? Really, is that true? Really, is that true? And I wouldn't let up until it kind of softened a little bit, until I could kind of change my own mind.
Wow.
That I wasn't as awful as I thought I was. And I kept doing that until I kind of got to the end of the dialogue, and I realized I don't even need to read any more of this dialogue, because I know that's not true. I know it's not true. And I came up with other alternatives. Coming up with other alternatives that I could have done made me feel like, oh, I came up with those alternatives on my own, so therefore I must not be that awful. Anyway, that's what I did. It was very powerful.
No, and I love that, because that introduces the fact that we're still going to make mistakes. I mean, we're human beings. Yes. We make mistakes. We do stuff. I remember the old saying. I remember the first time I really got the old saying, that's why they put erasers on pencils. Like, somebody said that to me. I remember, and I went, oh, because that means you're going to make mistakes.
You are going to erase something.
They actually put an eraser on the pencil, because it's already built into the actual implement that you will make mistakes and you get to erase it.
That's very good.
Yeah, but I remember thinking that, but that's what I loved about how you handled it, was because it was like, if this happens again, instead of I'm never going to let that'll never, because the truth is
something else will happen.
Something else is going to happen.
Sure it will. It's not what happens. It's really what you make it mean.
Right.
And I made it mean something awful, and then I had to change the meaning of it. Mm-hmm. And that was really powerful. And then I decided to write about it, because I knew that I could connect with someone out there that I'm sure is going through the same stuff.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. That's my saying, right? Transparency is the new black.
Yes.
I mean, it is. I'm just noticing it more and more, that the more you're honest with yourself and with others, it just makes life...
Same.
Oh, it makes life so much easier.
And we're connected.
Yeah.
And, that's what it's all about. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. It's remarkable, isn't it, that you could share a story? That's just a remarkable thing of a human being, is you share a story and somebody, literally their brain goes, oh, yes. I identify with that.
Yes.
That's really, that shows that we are connected.
We change each other's brains. We can change each other's brains by revealing and helping each other. Yeah.
And why it's important that you surround yourself with people that are kind of like, when they say like-minded, I don't think they necessarily mean like-minded when it's tastes and opinions, as much as it is like how you look at life. Yeah. And that you need to be around people that understand that about life, and that things are going to happen, and then how to not beat yourself up and support each other and know that we're all connected, like that kind of thing. Right. I think is important.
Right.
All right. We're going to, so we've known each other, like, I guess over 20 years. Yeah. And it's funny because it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
And we met each other both in Arbonne. And in Arbonne, which is one thing I love about it, is that there's a lot of personal development. Yeah. And so we're always reading books. There's always some book that we're reading. And we laugh about that. Like, what book are we reading? Another book. But it's great, because you should always read all those books. So you had but what was your favorite? I mean, I think I know your answer, but...
The one
Yeah. If you want to talk about that one, or if there's another one you want to talk about, that's
the
fine.
one.
I guess now you have to talk about the one that you've dropped.
It's like, go to my website and that'll I'll use these. No, the one book which changed a lot for me was What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, because we're always talking to ourselves, so it might as well be something nice and good and supportive. Imagine that, yeah. And then that was the one book. And then most recently, I've been rereading There Is Nothing Wrong with You by Sherry Huber.
Oh,
and that one really focuses a lot on self-hate and how to differentiate. And basically, it's all self-hate.
Right.
Unless it, well, I put up something recently that said, if it doesn't feel warm and comforting and loving, don't listen to it. And then I saw another blog or another post, somebody wrote, don't listen to everything. Don't believe everything you think.
Oh,
isn't that good? Don't
that's
believe
good.
everything you think, because we're all so flawed, and we were parented from generations and generations and generations by flawed people, and so what we think is, don't believe it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would we be? And also, if it's an old tape.
Yes. Yeah.
From a parent or from an old teacher or something like that. It's like, who made them experts?
Right.
What are their credentials?
Right.
Why are they experts on you? And especially now at this time, I remember hearing somebody said, like, talk to yourself like you talk to a 5-year-old child.
Oh, yeah.
And would you say a lot of the stuff that you would say, that you say to yourself, would you say that to a child? And it really is, you really catch yourself and you say, I would never say that to.
Never say that to a child, but I'll say it to myself all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's horrible. So self-compassion is really a cure to a lot of the self-hate. And that book is fabulous. And it's a very quick read, and yet it's very deep too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There is nothing wrong with you.
Oh, that sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I've been like really I've loved, but I was always one to fight the self-help stuff. And that was really from my childhood. And I don't like to, I'd like to take responsibility for my childhood and what decisions I made as a child. But there was definitely like a familia, is that right? Familial element in my family that was not big into like introspection and self-help. And
the age.
But I think it was too, I had a World War II dad and, all of that. And everybody was like, buck it up. And just, why do we have to talk about this stuff? Yeah. Why do we have to? And I guess, in their own way, I guess maybe just saying that, like, I don't want to get into all that, was their way of maybe pushing out the bad talk or the negative self-talk.
We could think that might be it.
Yeah, but it was never developed. I think you have to work with that person in your head.
Yeah.
Develop a relationship with them because they're going to be there forever. Yeah. And I think if you keep shunning it.
Right, you can't. What you resist persists. So you keep resisting that voice, it's going to be louder. I mean, if you acknowledge it and thank you so much, but not right now, and I'm not going that direction, but you're always looking out for me, aren't you? Thank you so much, little voice. You've just got me on your mind. But I got this. I'm good. Thank you so much. Yeah.
That's great.
That turns you around to having the control again.
Yeah. No. I think that's really, really true. So what do you think about this? I know I've started, I've had my armband business for 22 years. So I started it relatively young, but when I realized a year ago that I wanted to do the podcast and like shift and start really focusing on that and maybe even get to the point of interviewing people and see where that goes. It was fun to make that kind of big decision. And so what was it about? Because I want to talk about your photography business in a minute and how that came about. But as like a changing over and doing it now in your life after your son's grown and, your husband's retired now. And it's like, wow, it's like you have this career that you don't have to go walk away from this ever. No. Right. It's like a thing that's going to follow with you now in this part of your life.
Right. When I picked up the camera in May of 2012, I remember thinking, well, who I mean, I was still learning at that point, but I didn't really start shooting people until maybe 2014, about 2 years later, maybe. And I remember thinking, when people ask me, how long have you been doing this? Oh, 2 years or a year and a half, I just thought, I wish I could say like 7 years or at least 10 years. And then I thought, that's probably not, just whatever, ignore, there's that voice. Who cares? If you say 2 years, if you say 2 months, doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. The work is what matters. But I think that has to do with, and then there was a part of me that's like, you're starting a photography business and you're 53, 50, what, 7 years, 6, yeah, 53. Yeah, there was a little bit of that too, but oh well, I still want to do it.
Right.
So I'm still going to do it. And I did.
Yeah. That's one thing that's exciting about this time. I don't know if, we really are kind of like, we're so lucky to live in a time now where we can kind of sit there and say, I think I want to, because you can. Yeah. And I think society-wise, I think it's much more accepted. You're not really...
And it's much easier to learn. Mm-hmm. YouTube will teach you anything you want to know about anything. So it helped a lot. And so were all the women blog writers out there that put up tutorials that taught me. So you can learn anything you want to learn.
Yeah. Wow. It's hilarious. I was at Hobby Lobby, one of your favorite stores.
Yeah, I love Hobby Lobby.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so hard to get in and get out. So hard. I had to pick stuff up for Boys and Girls Club. But I found a watercolor set, and I've always thought in the back of my mind that I've always wanted to paint. But just to paint. Right. I don't know. It's just kind of cool. I watch people paint. Right. Yeah. Right. And so they had it on sale, half off. I got it for $20. Nice. But I was telling some of the 5th grade girls at Boys and Girls Club yesterday, I said, I bought this watercolor thing and I'm going to start doing watercolors. And they were like, oh, really? And they went, go to YouTube, Right. And I went, you're so lucky. When I was a kid,
you're so lucky.
When I was a kid and you wanted to do something, you could just type it in and watch somebody teach you.
Kids, man, they don't know how good they've got it.
No, they don't. And why aren't they all great painters then? Because they got YouTube.
No, they could be learning all kinds of new stuff.
They could be doing all sorts of things. But yeah, it was really fun. It was just funny. Yeah, Prince Harry came out yesterday and said Fortnite's a bad thing. The gaming. Yeah. It was like, there goes Prince Harry. He's not going to be popular anymore. But it's true though, because when they play in a game, and I have kids that like to game, when they playing those games over and over again, it's all well and fine, but you're not actually learning a skill. But in these other things, like an instrument, or you're learning something like that, or in photography, you're learning something that it's a skill. Right. And I would imagine in photography, you never quite master it, do you? Because you've got new...
Oh, heck no.
Yeah, you got new technology. Yeah. And then you have new ideas.
New idea. You can just keep going and going and going. And there's so much to learn. So much to learn. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
It was really fun to get up. Can I tell you how I...
No, I was just going to say, let's do it. How did you get started?
I had retired from my Arbonne business. Still active, but still with the company, but no longer working it as a business.
That's the beauty of it.
That is the beauty of it. Yeah. That residual income.
You're still getting paid for the work you did before?
Yes, I am. It's crazy good. So when I decided to retire from that, it was like, what the heck am I going to do though? I mean, for a month of new recipes and going to Target whenever I wanted to, that got kind of old after a while. And what am I going to do with my time? Mm-hmm. And I checked out a couple of odds and ends jobs as we used to call them secretaries. I don't think they call them that anymore, but I did that kind of a random administrative assistant.
Yeah.
Whatever.
At some point they'll look down their nose at that.
Yeah, that's right. And they'll change it into something else. But I was very spoiled with Arbonne. I didn't want to go and work in an office all day long for 8 hours. Heck no. And I got a little part-time something or other, and it was like 4 hours, and I'm like, 4 hours? Don't want to do it for 4 hours. So that didn't work out. And that's another really good story, but not for now.
I think I know it. Yeah, I know it. That's right.
It's a really good story.
Another episode.
So one day I was just kind of poking around on Facebook. God bless Facebook. It is this double-edged sword, right?
Yes.
You can just... Anyway, I was on it, and someone posted it, a photo a day, and you received a prompt, and you were to take a photo with your interpretation of that word, whatever that word or phrase was. So if the word was red, R-E-D, you weren't necessarily supposed to go and take a picture of something red. It wasn't, I spy with my little eye, something red. No,
Where's Waldo?
Whoa, I'm done. I did it in 10 minutes. Woo. It wasn't that. It was your interpretation of the word red. Now, I don't really remember what I did with that prompt, but every day there was this new prompt, and I went and looked back at past days of prompts, and then I would look at people's photos, and it just opened up the possibility of me thinking about, well, what would I do if I were a photographer? Of course, I'm not. I'm not a photographer. I don't need, I don't, but if I were, see, I listened to one voice and not the other.
Right.
And so, well, if I were a photographer. And so then after I thought about that for a couple of days, I remembered that back in 2010, we won a raffle prize at our church, a cash prize. It was amazing. And I wanted to buy a really nice camera. This is in 2010. DSLRs were, just coming out, maybe 2 years old at that point. And so I bought one, and it was a Canon Rebel, and I couldn't figure out how to use it. I just thought, you'll go to the manual, you'll start at the very front, and you'll figure it out. No, the manuals are ridiculously dumb and hard, and they don't make sense. They don't make sense. They do not make sense. And you've got a question right away after the second sentence. And so I realized, oh, you know what? This is stupid. I wonder what voice that was saying, this is stupid. Put this away. You're crazy. And I literally boxed it all back up and put it in the cupboard and didn't even remember or think about it.
Wow.
And now it's about 2.5 years later. And now this blog, and I'm thinking about it. And I thought, well, I've got that camera. I've got some time on my hands right now. So I pulled it out, and I thought, I still couldn't figure it out. I read the manual, and I realized, wait a second, YouTube. And I went online, and then I found blogs, women photographers. And I thought, well, if they can figure it out, I can figure it out. I can do this. I just know I can, if they did. So then I watched a lot of their tutorials, and lo and behold, if I didn't figure it out, I mean, oh my God, it was a whole new world of figuring something out, learning and trying and testing. And thankfully, I didn't have to have film. It was cheap to take as many pictures as you want. And so I started to participate in the blog a day prompt. And it was a thrill to get up every morning and think, what's the prompt? Oh my God. And I challenged myself. I want to have this done by the end of the day, because the next day I got another prompt.
Right.
So by tonight, I have to have this done. And I still did other things of grocery shopping and other things. And so I didn't, I had to do it in a couple hours. What are you going to do? What are you going to take a picture of that means something?
Right.
I don't know why I instantly wanted to do my very best with it and make it mean something. And so it was fun. It was really fun. And I learned how to use my camera that way. And then what started to be interesting is that my husband would come home from work and say, all right, show me what you took a photo of today. What was it? And I was like, why does he want to know? Why? And then he would look at it and say, wow, that's so cool. That's really interesting. And then he would tell me, you've got an eye. And I thought, wait a second. No, I don't. I'm just like everybody else. Can't you do the whole process of you've got an eye, and no, I don't. And I do. I have an eye. Where's it been all my life?
Yeah.
Where has it been all my life? And so that was thrilling, just thrilling to be astounded every day to think, I do? I have an eye? No. Maybe he's just saying that. Well, then I realized that's not my husband's jam. He doesn't just say stuff.
Right.
He really means it. So, yeah, that's how it got started. And
I remember following that. I remember when you were doing it, and I remember following it, and I remember thinking it was so cool. I was looking forward to it. Yeah. My favorite one, I told you, my favorite one was Dreams.
Yeah.
Right? It was Dreams, and it was a beat up old mattress against a dumpster. I loved that picture.
Yeah, and I called it Broken Dreams.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But was the word dream? The word
was Dreams, and I just put it
right.
I put broken in parentheses right in front of it.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I liked it too. After I did it, I just thought, who are you? What the heck?
Doesn't everybody take a picture of a mattress against a dumpster?
Yeah.
But no.
No, I guess not. I've come to accept that, but it still blows my mind a little bit.
Yeah, it's the artist interpreting. I think at some point, I think it's some way everybody has an artist thing. It's just a question of how are you letting it out? Mm-hmm. The other one I loved was the one where you had the woman lying on the... Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one was a good one.
I wasn't doing the blog at that point. I was just doing more street photography. And at that day, I was on my way home from a family session, and I was going over to Subway to get lunch, and I saw a homeless lady laying down on a bench, and the bench had the advertisement for a beauty supply store right above where she was laying down. And the beauty supply store was called Beauty World. And she was laying there, and it was just the dichotomy of the word beauty and her and the world. And it was really cool. You know what was really interesting is that I put up a post about Beauty World, and I told the whole story about that day and how it felt taking her photo. And I was like, I felt really kind of guilty about taking her photo. Mm-hmm. And that's just an odd thing to me. But I somehow knew I had to take a picture of her photo. I mean, of her. I had to document her.
Right.
I had to. But is that me? Is it all about me? You know? So I went to Subway and I bought her a sandwich and food too. And I walked over and she was sleeping, and I put it on the ground next to her. And so I wrote a post about that, and I got a lot of feedback about that. And I also got trolled.
No, I didn't know that.
Trolled, and I didn't know what a troll was.
Oh,
I didn't know,
you're not
and
on
it
Twitter.
blew my mind. Like, basically, I have a little voice in my head as a troll.
Well, you made it. Everyone says that on Twitter. They say that means you made it when you get a troll.
They say it now. I didn't pick up on that.
I haven't gotten a troll yet. I'm excited.
I thought the troll was right. The troll gave me the hardest time about how big of you. You gave her a sandwich, but you took her picture and you flaunted. I mean, he just ripped me a new one, which, thank you very much. I can do that on my own.
Right.
And I believed him, and I took the post down. I was mortified, and I'm like, oh my God, who do you think you are? Oh boy, that fed into that whole line of thinking. Who do you think you are? So I took it down, and I felt horrible, and it was like maybe the next day my son said, where did it go? What happened to that post? And I told him, and he said, oh, that was just a troll. You got trolled. And I said, what? There's a, what? You mean it wasn't true? You know? So anyway, I did take it down, but yeah.
Oh, and you didn't put it back. You can't put it back up. I guess you can't really, yeah.
It's gone. Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, what if that inspired someone to feed,
right? I was telling her story.
Yeah. Or inspired somebody else to take care of somebody in their neighborhood or donate or something.
Editorial photography that, you were the one that helped me understand it. It's like, that's why they have photographers in war, and they're telling a story that other people can't tell. Yeah. You're the one, Liz, that saw her to tell that story. Other people just kept driving by.
Right.
And that helped me understand.
Probably the troll drove by.
Probably that stupid freaking
The troll is down in his mother's basement. He never gets out. He never gets out to see any of those people.
Honestly, I have the troll in my head.
No,
It's the same voice.
That should have been the name of the podcast, The Troll in Your Head.
Yeah.
I don't need outside trolls.
Thank you very
much. The one
much.
inside my head does a really good job.
Very true.
No, they really say that on Twitter. They say that if you get a troll, then you're, good for you. You're on the right path.
Right.
But no, it's true because they do. They take pictures of, and photographers aren't supposed to. I know they talked about that when the Haiti earthquake, because a lot of the CNN reporters were there, and it was so difficult for them not to help. And some of them actually decided just to help because it was so hard to stand there and report on it. And and the photographers and stuff, actually, and the cameramen are actually not supposed to, there's like a wall, and they're not supposed to reach in and help because they're just supposed to document
it. You don't want to
it.
Change the story.
Or they're supposed to be your eyes because you're home in your living room,
Right.
and then you can see what's going on.
Right.
So it's really true. It's true. That's what they're for. So yeah, I thought that was really powerful. And I think if it inspired, that's the thing. It's like, how do you know, Trill, that can inspire 4 homeless people to be fed that day, And if you think, well, that's not enough, well, it's like, well, but that was that.
Right.
I mean,
they probably loved it.
Yeah.
Those 4 people who got fed were saying,
yeah. And that's why I think that our sharing those kind of stories does make somebody think, oh, yeah, you know what? I never noticed.
Right.
We used to, when I worked in downtown Los Angeles, we'd go down the street to eat and we'd come back. And there were times when there would be homeless people. And there's this one guy, and I think he was obviously an addict because you could just tell. And he was so thin and skinny. And there were a lot of times, you get that crazy food that's way too much. Mm-hmm. And I was young and I didn't have a family or anything. Mm-hmm. And I would eat half of my sandwich and I was like, I'm not going to put this in the fridge and forget about it at work. Mm-hmm. And I would try and remember to give half if I saw him, to give him half. And I remember one time he just sat, like when I handed it to him, he thanked me and he just sat where he was and ate it. Mm-hmm. And, did that fix his drug addiction? No. It showed it showed some compassion.
Right.
I mean, I don't think you can't underestimate what a little compassion might do for someone.
Right.
So anyway, so how did you now become, portrait photographer extraordinaire?
Yeah, that's me.
So where did you shift from doing the editorial to
I found a woman on YouTube who was doing the type of photography that I'm doing now, and I just was fascinated. I couldn't stop watching it, and I watched it so much that I thought, I want to try it. I'm going to try this. What the heck? I'll just see where this takes me. That's the other thing I wanted to mention, too. When I started in my photography business is that I really consciously made a decision to keep my ego as best I could out of it and let it go where it's going to go. And I don't always win that war, but I really made a conscious decision to just try it. Let's just see where that goes. Mm-hmm. So I got a couple of my friends. You were one of them. And I said,
yes, I was.
I want to try this thing, this way, let me try a couple of these poses. Let me see if I can figure this out. And that's how that started. And I just kept going and going and going. And now here I am doing this, and it kind of comes full circle with, you teach what you need to learn. And that's really become true for me, that I need to learn this self-care, self-love business, so I might as well teach it. And it's part of what I incorporate into my photography. When I speak to someone about getting a portrait taken, they say, oh, no, not me. No, my kids. We'll take pictures of my kids, but not me. Well, why the heck not you? Why not you? Mm-hmm. Every woman is beautiful in their own way and with their own body and their own look and their own style. And they think they don't have the body for it. They think they don't have the clothes. They think, how can they pull it off? I'm not at my goal weight. All those kind of ridiculous excuses that we give ourselves. And so I really work hard to help them overcome that, because why not you? Why not you? Why do you not have a gorgeous portrait of you in your own home, in your bedroom? Why not? And wouldn't you love to have one of your mother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one when you did the session with me and my mom.
Right.
Because now my mom is, she's going to be 90 this year. Mm-hmm. And it was fun. Yeah. We really did kind of catch her, when she was living with me. And I didn't realize that she'd be in assisted living now. And she's still doing fine. But that really kind of caught her, still her personality and her charm and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. That was really, really great. Mm-hmm. No, it's true. It's funny. Skincare is the same way. We used to find people will go, they won't buy anti-aging for themselves or skincare for themselves, and they'll wash their face with whatever, Cetaphil or whatever. Yeah. But, they'll get something for their kid. Yeah. What do you got for kids? Or
your daughter. That statement, not me, but for my kids. You're teaching your kids not to appreciate and take care of yourself.
Right.
You're
Put yourself second.
Putting yourself second and third, and daughter's going to look up at you and go, okay, I'm going to suck when I'm about, your age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we're teaching when we see our mothers taking care of themselves, it teaches us that it's okay. Mm-hmm. And that's what I really want to do. I had a photo shoot yesterday. A woman had just turned 60 and just wanted it for herself. And I'm like, hallelujah. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. Fantastic. And she didn't have any kind of, embarrassment about that at all. She just wanted him for herself.
I have a friend of mine who's a stylist, and I had her set me up with some clothes. I had an Arbonne trip that was going on. And so she was going to help me. And so she helped me pick out a swimsuit, and which is, always a woman's worst nightmare, right? But I really wanted to kind of take the bull by the horns and go, I'm going to try on all the different styles. And she was going to help me find the one that was good for my body type. And oh my gosh, we went from one suit to another. Horrible. I looked horrible. I looked at every mirror. I was like, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden we put one on and I went,
yeah.
Oh, this one looks good. And she goes, yeah, this one's good because it's got this. It's the ruching. She goes, that's why I was thinking it's such a neckline, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, and I felt really good in that suit, even though I wasn't at my perfect body weight and I wasn't, I really felt good in that suit. But she told me, she said, well, you handled that really well. And I'm like, what do you mean? I was grouchy. And every time I was in a suit I'd be like, oh, get this off me. And she said, I've had women sit in the dressing room weeping.
Yeah. And
that broke my heart. That broke my heart that it's we are here now. This is it now. And at some point you have to accept for what it is.
Own it.
Own it.
Own your body and learn to love it
now. As it is right now.
Right now. Because you cannot hate yourself to go weight.
Right.
It won't happen.
Oh my gosh.
It will not happen.
Oh, did you just make that up? You can't hate yourself to go weight?
Whoa.
Patent. Trademark that, man. That was great. No, that's true though.
You can't do it that way.
No, that's right.
It won't work. You'll just be eating cookies by the end of the day because you hate yourself so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you need to learn you love it today. And it's incredible what will happen when you turn that love on yourself and get a photograph and look at the photograph and see, oh my God, is that me? Really? Mm-hmm. Really? And then own it and buy it and put it up on a wall. Why the heck not? And then that can change how you see yourself, and that changes you going out into the world. It's all part of it.
Yeah. It made a difference for me. I remember when I first saw the first one, I remember saying to you, I was like, wow, wait a minute. Because you were new at it, so you wanted my response. Mm-hmm. And you were like, tell me. And I was like, no, give me a minute. Because I'm looking at this going, is this me?
Right.
Wow, I think this is me. Yeah. And wow, that is not how I perceive myself. That. And I think when I was younger, I had a better, when you're young, you think I don't know, maybe other kids didn't, but I did. I liked the way I looked. I was fine. I read Gone with the Wind when I was little, and the first line of Gone with the Wind is, Scarlett O'Hara was not beautiful, but few men realized it when captured by her charm. That's the first line of Gone with the Wind. And I read that and I went, bang. I'm not going to be the girl that walks in the room that everybody goes, oh, some, Heidi Klum or whatever. I don't know why I thought of her, but Heidi Klum or some model, that walks in and boom. But I feel like you get around me long enough and you'll forget, you'll not forget. That's not the right word, but you'll be like, oh, I get her, it doesn't matter. Or it doesn't, that's what she looks like and I like that, And so I was always like that. But when you get older, all of a sudden, you really start losing the stuff.
Yeah.
When you see the wrinkle here, the thing, the face, whatever. Right. And then you just really start saying, oh, I'm not that person anymore or whatever. And so when I saw the pictures that you took, all of a sudden I went, oh, I don't look like the 20-year-old. But I kind of like the way this lady looks,
Right.
And it does make you then want to, here we're going full circle, want to put myself together when I go out.
Right.
Because I'd like to kind of capture a little of that because I actually might be how people look at me, and I can live with that. That's okay.
Right.
I know my mom started wearing I like eyeliner, and she was so cute. Next time I picked her up for church, she had all this eye makeup on. I was like, Mom. And she was good about putting herself together anyway, but it was just funny. Yeah. I was like, what's going on with the eyes? Look good.
Yeah. I love it.
So we're actually almost done. Can you believe it? Wasn't that great?
It was great.
Yeah. No, you were great. So tell me, we have enough time for you to say, like, what's your client that you're looking for? Like, you've said a little bit about that.
I'm really looking for the woman who would love this, kind of take the challenge on of coming in for a photo shoot. I kind of see her as saying, oh my God, you know what? I think I'm going to do this. It is a challenge. Nobody likes to get in front of the camera, but I really make it, I think it's my superpower is making you relax and love you through it. My makeup artist and I, we just take care of you from beginning to end, and you don't have to worry about a thing. And I will pose you. I had a client last week that said, "Make sure you tell everybody that you really pose us. We don't have to stand here and figure it out. You've got this covered."
Right. It's not like one of those old things where look happy, do this. Like show those photographers and the girl's flowing her hair all around and everything. No, not at all. Yeah.
No, it's not. I will pose every little piece of you. I've got that. We've got it under control for you. And so I'm looking for the woman who would take on the challenge and would like to pass along portraits to her family. But it's basically, look, do it for you. That's my hashtag. Do it for you. You can give the pictures away to your spouse or your loved ones or whatever you want to do, but you do it for you. I'm telling you, it can make a huge difference.
Yeah, it's really true. You do. You spoil the person rotten there. And you even have some clothing.
Yes, I do.
So if somebody brings something and maybe it doesn't work right, or you think, you know what, maybe try this neckline or try this. This actually might work better. You have it there. That was cool too.
And I've got jewelry. And the woman I had yesterday, she forgot her gold earrings. And the big gold hoops that I had were perfect for what she was wearing. And I was so glad I had them. So I do have them. I've got jewelry and I've got clothes, and you've got your own private dressing room area, and then another area for hair and makeup, and your own private bathroom, and in the studio.
Yeah, it really is. It's really a treat. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for being on.
As your first guest.
As my guest. I really, really appreciate it. And, I'm just so really proud of you that everything you've accomplished. It's been really fun as your friend just to watch you just do this and do it with honesty and sharing along the way, because it's inspiring. It's inspired me. It inspires a lot of people to see that you just decided you were going to do this, and you were going to take the bull by the horns and listen to the crazy little voice and just develop a relationship with that crazy little troll and just move forward and do it. And I think all of us, as you see all the time, they'll post about how their experience with you, they'll always come out when you post something, they'll come out and say, oh, my experience was great. Or if you look at all my pictures, they're all Liz's. It really moved on to just being like a friendship thing. It really became, you really are as good as it looks. You really are as good as it seems. So I'm really excited. So, all right. So I am excited to announce that Stacy Demalski, who is a screenwriter and comedian and author extraordinaire and quite the funny, Liz knows her, quite the funny young lady. She is going to be on live on Monday. I'm going to now start doing just Fridays, but Monday I'm sneaking her in because of her schedule. So we're going to do a live podcast episode on Laughter is Good for the Soul on Monday, and it's going to be pretty funny. We worked out some stuff, and it was
no doubt
it will be really funny. As I hope today's was entertaining, and so she'll be on and we'll be live for that. So, but then if you could. I really need followers, so if you can go into Spreaker will not get into your bank account and take all your money if you sign up. I don't know how much you have to do too. I think it's just an email. It's like it's just like a catalog or whatever. And
it's pretty simple.
But if you could follow me, that would mean a lot, because I can start moving on and getting on iHeartRadio and things like that. If you could like my Facebook page, if you haven't done that already. And any feedback is welcome. So thanks.
I just want to tell people to follow me at Liz Barlak.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Photography. That's okay.
Yes.
Liz Barlak Photography, LizBarlak photography.com.
Yes. No, I'm glad you said that because I was going to say that.
I know.
And then it'll be on my Facebook page. We'll post your information and if anyone wants to know more. So thanks so much. I really appreciate your being on.
My pleasure.
And we are right at the hour mark. So I am very, very happy about that. Okay. So now my mouse is there. And so we're leaving. It's funny, we just started talking and all of a sudden I looked and I went, oh, I have to push buttons. So thanks so much for staying this long. And I will talk to you later.